Dear student, you are most welcome. I'm called Okello Robert, a lecturer in Chambogo University, in the Faculty of Special Needs and Rehabilitation, the Department of Community and Disability Studies. I'm very much privileged to have you undertake this course on deaf blindness and multisensory impairment. Once again, I want to welcome you to this module 12 that basically focuses on the teaching strategies of learners with deaf blindness and multisensory impairment. I want to congratulate you upon having finished the previous modules, and now we are getting into a more practical session whereby we are basically going to focus on how do we teach learners, students, or people with deaf blindness and multisensory impairment. And in this case, therefore, you are going to see quite a number of issues, and you're going to read quite a number of things in this particular module, basically focusing on the teaching strategies. How do we go about teaching these learners self-help skills, activities of daily living? Because at the end of it all, we are so much obliged to see to it that these learners are able to live an independent life, whereby they are able to do certain things on their own. And therefore, let me lead you through how we can go about teaching learners with deaf blindness, more especially on activities of daily living. First and foremost, we start tracing this from the time the child wakes up. For example, how do we teach a child maybe bathing, brushing, eating, toileting skills? And therefore you realize that all these and many more other skills are very necessary for independent living. First and foremost, I want us to focus so much on the aspect of basically brushing. When a child has just woken up, it is very important for you as a teacher that you help this learner to know how to brush him or herself. For example, brushing, we need to help the student or the learner identify the materials that are required for brushing. For example, where do we get the toothbrush? Where do we get the toothpaste? Where do we get the water? Because all these are very important during the process of brushing. And therefore, we are going to use what we call the calendar box when we are going through some of these activities of daily living. Now, once you have identified all the materials that are required for brushing, where in this case we have now the toothpaste, we have the toothbrush, we have the water, and then all these materials should be kept in one place. So you as a teacher, you have to lead this child or this learner to identify these materials. And once these materials have been identified where they have been, then you have to demonstrate as a teacher. Say, for example, get the toothpaste, and then help the child, demonstrate the child how to unlead, to open the toothpaste. And once you have opened, get a toothbrush, and then draw the toothpaste on the toothbrush. And this is done in close interaction with the child so that the child is able to see what you are doing and how you are doing it. And therefore, once you have now put the toothpaste on the toothbrush, then as a teacher or as an instructor or a trainer, demonstrate the brushing to that child, so that the child who is probably having low vision and hard of hearing, or probably who is having adventitious hearing loss and deaf blindness, will definitely be able to follow how you are doing it. You can demonstrate it to the child, you can demonstrate it, and then the child is able to imitate, to copy, to observe what you are doing. And once you have done that, then give time to this child to do it by herself, and observe and see whether the child is able to do it systematically based on how you have demonstrated to this child. And once you realize that the child has done it so well, he has brushed his teeth, he has rinsed his mouth or her mouth well, and that water has been spitted out, then you help the child that after brushing, it is important now to wash the face. Washing the face requires the child to have put off the toothpaste so that the child now only uses the water to draw the water, and then the child is guided to draw the water on the hands, and then the water is brought into the face. And once the child has put the water into the face, then the child has to move his hand around his face in order to wipe and clean his face and water, basically. And once the child has finished all that, then you have to congratulate, to thank the child for every accomplishment the child has done. Because when you reward, when you motivate this child, when you praise this child, it gives an encouragement to this child to continue doing that activity for over and over. It is very important for you as a teacher to keep monitoring the success of a completion of every aspect. And therefore, once the child has finished brushing, he has finished washing his face, then you have to guide this learner that now that we have finished this activity, we need to go to the next activity, and that would be probably bathing. I want just to look at bathing. I know the order may vary, but these are very important issues that must be taken into account when, say, for example, you are more especially focusing on activities of daily living. If it is bathing, how do you teach this child bathing? One, first and foremost, you have to help this child identify the materials that are needed for bathing. First and foremost is, where is this child going to get water? What equipment, what materials does the child need to have during the process of bathing? That includes the sponge, it includes the soap, it includes water, and it also includes where is this child going to bathe from. And therefore, it is the responsibility of you as a teacher to help this child know that once I have now the water, I have the soap, I have the sponge, then I have maybe the scrubber, carry all this together with the child and demonstrate where the child can get these items, and then lead the child to the bathroom, because some children may forget. After getting soap and water and the sponge, might decide to undress herself from the public and bathe from there. This may not be socially acceptable, and therefore the child needs to identify where bathing has to be done. And when we have led the child to the bathroom, help the child, guide the child how to undress and dress up, depending on the type of dressing code this child might be having. And then the child should be guided how to dress and dress. And once the child has undressed herself or himself, then he has to hang his clothes maybe on the lining that might be provided. And therefore, it is important that you help the child, you orient the child about the bathing room, so that the child is able to know what is within his locality, what is within that particular environment, because this helps the child to know or to be familiar with what is within his environment. Remember, this is a child who is having deaf blindness, may not be so much aware of the place, of the area, of the environment where he is. So for every aspect, it is very important for you to orient this child to know what is where and how is this done. Then you have to lead the child, demonstrate practically to this child how the child can draw water from the trough. And once the child has drawn water from the trough, demonstrates how the child is going to pour. It must be in close contact with the child. Don't do these things when you are not in contact with the child. In other words, you must be hands-on. Your hand should be in close contact with the hands of the child, so that the child is able to have constant contact with you all through these demonstrations. Therefore, get hold of the child's hand, take the child's hands in the water, try to draw, demonstrate drawing water from the trough onto your body, and then after you also demonstrate this, now you allow the child, give an opportunity to the child to draw water to himself as you watch and observe. If you realize that the child has drawn water very well, then you have to appreciate, you have to congratulate that child for having done it so well.